Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our digital live today. My name is Ian, and I'm one of the field managers here at the Digital Summer Clinic. And I'm here with Justice, another one of our field managers. And today we are talking to Natalie Fang. Thank you for joining, Natalie, and thank you to everybody watching. We're excited to chat with you. To everybody watching, please comment questions for the Q&A later in the chat.
All right. Natalie Fang is a visionary entrepreneur and educator. As the CEO/founder of Nochi Studios, she produces innovative anime games. Her academic pursuits extend to the University of Michigan's School of Information, where she lectures, and the Digital Summer Clinic, where she serves as an executive in residence. Fang's diverse roles highlight her commitment to both industry leadership and nurturing the next generation of tech talent. So now we could just go into the first few questions. So last week we had Grace Andreski from the Detroit Pistons, where she shared her insights on how they use AI to their advantage. How can organizations like yours take advantage of AI?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. So I think for startups in particular, typically like we tend to be very small teams, right? And we're trying to make things work really fast on a low budget or whatever investment money that we have. So AI can be really helpful to make things faster and more efficient, to take some of the work that might have taken us a few hours to maybe just like even 1 hour, even a few minutes. So definitely leverage AI, especially since there's so many free AI tools now. It's definitely worth it to make your team more nimble, make your team faster, and to spend less time on like the really dumb, tedious stuff that would have, like you had to do, but get AI to do it for you faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally have used AI tools now that they're, like just for, the small things like I just wrote a paper just to check my grammar or see
Hmm.
spots where I can improve it. So like you said, the little tedious works, it just kind of makes things more efficient, work a little faster, and sometimes give a little bit better quality.
Totally.
So we'll get into our next question here. Some companies, they seemed excited about AI and how they can use the advantage, and then some, they see it as a threat or they're scared of AI, especially maybe in the more like graphic design industry. So I'd be curious, what is your take on AI and how can you see it as advantage and disadvantage?
Yeah, so Noshi is an interesting space because we are more artistic and creative because we're making video games, right? And we do have art. And so there's some things that's like no AI at all. And also just like the general public sentiment is anti-AI, I would say, for some of our players. So we don't use AI for the actual creative work, like in terms of artwork. We work with real artists who draw. Now, what we might do, and some artists do this already, is like, you used to have like little models on your desk, right? And like you would move the models to figure out, okay, this is how I'm going to draw the pose. But now like computer programs and a lot of drawing programs can give you those models. And so that's not quite AI, but like you can use AI to help you with a little bit of the brainstorming work, it's sketching work to figure out lighting and things like that. But like the actual art itself, like the final product, the in-between processes is all being done by a real artist. Even on the writing side, so like we obviously have text in the video games, right? Someone's writing that story, that plot line for the video game, and so we write the stuff, but we will utilize AI to help us with brainstorming. So like what you mentioned, Ian, right? Like we use AI to like edit maybe for some stuff. Actually, we haven't used it for editing because it's not quite good enough for our stuff because we use so much fantasy things and we have to train a little bit too much. But in terms of like brainstorming, you can sit with the AI machine, like throw in some prompts and be like, hey, I'm thinking about this idea, like help me tweak this. But what's interesting, because I do teach a video games course, is you need to be very specific about your vision or else the prompts it's giving you is so generic. And so you can tell when something's AI generated because it's not good enough quality, right? But if you use it as a tool to bolster your creativity, that's where it's really helpful. So something that might have taken us 2 days to do, like we just can reduce it to like 1 day, right? 1.5 days to cut down that brainstorming process. Because otherwise, like we had to get the work done, but utilize again AI for the efficiency and the speed.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, especially about with any type of AI. It's like very generic. Like if sometimes I get like writer's block or anything, whether that would be I'm writing something for school or honestly, if we just have like a project we have to do, and I'll be like, oh, like give me some ideas, like, cause sometimes I don't know what I actually want to do, and then every idea is generic. So I definitely understand that. But since our upcoming digital marketing workshop is coming up, what can we look forward from your panel, Boosting Your Business with AI?
Yeah, so most of the AI examples I gave were more about like the creative side because I think that's where the controversy is. But I use a lot of AI day to day, so I'm not the artist on the team, and I'm also not the writer on the team. So I use it for business, right? And again, it's really helpful, like helping out with emails, right? Like telling it, hey, I need an email that says this, or like help me proof this to be a little bit more professional. And even for marketing, so marketing copywriting, dumb one-liners that you need to just get it done, right? Have AI generate like 10 variations for you, schedule all those things out. So I'm really excited to share like some of the small tips and tricks I think that some people don't think of that AI can help with, that can really cut down some of the time that, again, that task might have taken me a whole day to do, but instead now it's just like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited myself just to learn, especially we're going from like the Pistons where it's, big organization, and then we could get to move down into more of the tech, and especially from someone like yourself who's a founder and started up, and where you can see the advantages of AI and how it's growing.
Mhm.
So now we will go over to our questions from the chat and comments. Our first is a comment from Bud. He says he loves or he likes Justice's Halloween costume.
Thank you
She's
very
in
much.
she's in season and in theme today. You can say I'm wearing my Bud Gibson costume. So,
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
so I'm still a little bit on theme. And then our first question comes from Bien, one of our field managers here. She says, "What advice would you give to anyone looking to start their own tech startup?"
Yeah, I would definitely network and try to find people who might be in your space or in adjacent spaces because you'll learn a lot just from hearing what other founders are going through and like what the process is like. Why start on something on your own with absolutely no knowledge, right? Versus like being a part of a community, networking with other people who have gone through it, and you can hear tips and tricks from them, like or things that they messed up on that, like, okay, I'm not going to mess up on that too, right? And it's just nice to hear and being able to commiserate with other founders as well, especially when you're hitting a rough patch. Probably someone else has hit that rough patch too. And so it's just nice to be able to get other people's thoughts, see what other people have done, to sort of learn some best practices, or at least get some thought starters, right? To figure out, is this a journey that like you want to do, and like how can you make that journey successful for your particular business?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, networking is a huge part of, becoming a startup. Like we, this past summer, got to work with startups, and, like you said, it's chaotic. You can get lost. So learning from people who've been where you're at is, the name of the game. And you can really learn and grow yourself through other people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We have our next question here from Bud. It is, what is an example of where AI has helped you get something done faster?
Yeah, it's a lot of the small tasks. So things like copywriting for marketing for social media posts. We have a formula for our social media posts. Like we know certain keywords that are important, and like we know the lengths that we want. Also because we're constrained by like tweet. I still call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. But like Twitter has limited characters, right? If you want to get optimal views, and so because we have these formulas that we've tested out, and we know what kind of content we need to put out there, it's a lot easier just to tell the AI, like, hey, I need these keywords in there. This is the idea that we want, the thematics that we want for this post. Give me like 10 variations for this. Versus in the past, like I would have to, iterate again and spend a few hours in editing it down, tell the AI, hey, edit it down to the 280 characters or whatever that Twitter only allows me.
Yeah, and that's actually like a really good example, not even just from a business standpoint. I mean, just content creators online can use that themselves because, I mean, everybody's got a million words to say, but like you said, sometimes there's a limit. So making sure you
Yep,
get those keywords
conciseness.
in. Yep,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
all about keywords now, and also 7 seconds, right? That people have their attention span for social media feeds. So how do you grab that? What's that hook? So AI can help you with that.
Yeah, and that's awesome because I understand that 7 second before someone's like, all right,
Before you scroll
scroll
on
away.
by.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we will go to our final question here in our chat, also from Bud. Says you're teaching a course on information and AI. What do you tell your students about using AI?
It's really interesting. There are a lot of differing opinions. Like, you guys have that great question. What is my stance, right? Because a lot of people might be pro and a lot of people might be anti. For this course in particular, we tend to teach it as pro of like utilizing it and like being able to use it as a resource. But again, to not use it as the end, like use it as a means to the end, right? And we can see this in the works too. Like Justice is saying, when if you want to have an essay created by AI, it's gonna sound like AI. You can tell the specific words that ChatGPT uses. So we are trying to help students understand what the uses are for it, how it can be resourceful, where it might go in the future, what are the trends right now, the themes and the dangers of AI, right? Like, what do we need to keep in mind about? For an example, AI is trained on a lot of information that can be has bias and discrimination in it, right? And so we need to think about, okay, if we are using this AI tool, what was its training data that was used to train the model, and what are the things that we want to keep in mind about, like what voice does that AI have in particular, because it might not be accessible to many people, and again, it could be biased and discriminatory.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that you do teach a course on this now because I mean, at my school, they don't have that yet. So, as it's a growing topic, it's something that we're going to be all using in our future. So, being able to get ahead of the game and be able to teach students now and be aware of the pros and cons
Mm-hmm.
of AI is huge.
Yeah.
So, it's really good
Yep.
that you have a course actually starting to, help our future out.
I think that's the goal, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Wikipedia, when you were younger, teachers probably told you not to use Wikipedia,
Mhm.
right? Now it's like, of course, it's a source. And that's sort of like what AI is now. It's a source, it's a resource. And how can we make sure that like we're all going along for the ride and we are with the times?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So that is our last question here. We just have one last comment, which Bud said somebody actually has dressed up his before for a gym Halloween party. I'd probably have
Amazing.
not done as good of a job as they did, but hey, I'll take it. So before we head out, I want to thank everybody again for watching the Digital Live, and thank you, Natalie, for being here with us. Having you on was great.
Yes, and
Thank
to our
you.
viewers, continue to keep up to date with our digital live events this fall. Our next live will actually be on Thursday, November 7th, and then also check out our upcoming event, the Digital Marketing Workshop, on November 15th. We will see you guys at the next Digital Live. Happy Halloween!